All right, everybody, welcome in. I want to tap into the ancestral path today and just feeling very, very strong, like fourth house energy, which is your connection to mother, but also your connection to your ancestral line. So I'm wondering why that's so strong today. So I'm just going to do a reading to see what we can get. There can be some kind of divine feminine energy wanting to come through for the collective right now. So that is very fourth house, very strong fourth house energy. I will say in my own birth chart, I have Pluto at 1 degree of Venus, which is right at the IC, the bottom of my birth chart. And that is that's really connected to the fourth house. It's right there on the cusp of the fourth house. So maybe that's why I'm feeling it so strongly, because Pluto is sitting at 1 degree of Venus, 1 degree of Aquarius. So root chakra. You see this down here, this root structure? That is what ancestral energy is all about. And in order to have a strong representation in the world, it needs a strong root ball. It needs a strong connection to Gaia. Some of you are very anchored in physical places. Others of you are anchored spiritually to a collective of people or of energetic expression. Some of you, this is your own body, that there is a strong connection to survival. All right. And that is required. It's not like, oh, that root chakra gets in my way all the time. It's actually when you have acceptance around the need for grounding, the need for roots, the need for the survival intuition. We've been talking about that for a few weeks in Pathfinders. The need for this survival intuition, it's what keeps you safe on this planet. So there ain't nothing wrong with root chakra, right? It can kind of get in the way if we have a story around it that says it's bad, or I'm not worthy, I'm not able, whatever that story is, that squashes the growth of this tree, which is you. Okay. So right away, ancestral message coming through about being healthfully anchored into your roots. Okay. As I'm doing this reading today in Pathfinders, we're going to be working on Kundalini energy. I've also been talking about Lilith. There's a lot of feminine power energy that's coming through right now. And yeah, look at this. Hero and fire. That's interesting. I'll talk about that in a minute. And resistance. So what are the stories that you are telling yourself around your worthiness? Those can get normalized in your life, and then they can get sort of woven into a story about what you deserve or don't deserve. And these stories all come from our upbringing. That's what roots us to the earth first. It's sort of this family of origin, or the origin story that we have that comes from our family that roots us. And if that is a toxic story, you really do have to create healthy roots. And so one of my functions on this planet is to be a teacher through story. And if we're telling ourselves stories that are squashing our fire or our ability to be the hero of our own story, that shows resistance to me. That shows this sort of a counter narrative that you have been telling yourself that keeps you from being the hero of your own story. And that's when we get unhealthy twin flame attraction, unhealthy relationship attraction, unhealthy family narratives, all of that. I'm going to be talking about healthy twin flame. Can there be a healthy twin flame story? And I'm going to talk to you about my own story. I'm going to be doing that. I'll let you know where that video is going to show up. I have several channels. So if you don't know that, Souls on Fire is another channel that I have, and I put evergreen videos over there. So if you want to jump over there, I'll probably be posting that video this week. Talk about the healthy twin flame and narrative and what that looks like. All right, let's see where we go here, because I am definitely talking to divine feminine, a collection of divine feminines who are resisting their own power in some way, likely because they're unhealthily rooted. okay, or their stories are not growth oriented, or they're not maybe they haven't even been looked at. Okay, maybe they haven't even been looked at. So let's see what's under here. Six of Wands, the Ten of Swords, the Sun, the Ace of Pentacles. I love this so much. Look at that. Five of Pentacles. We're free of this story. Fool. We're free of this story. Look at this. I'm taking this and this. Come here, Hermit. This is this is a little bit like pride goeth before a fall. It's like the actual narrative, pride goeth before a fall. And so some of you could be connected to the energy of I shouldn't have my own needs, or my needs, if I'm focused on my own needs, that means I'm selfish, or there's some kind of story that you're telling yourself that is keeping you in a victim role or keeping you in a place of lack of power. So what's trying to come through here is a new beginning, a fresh start. Ace of Pentacles and the Sun. I love that so much. This is what you're leaving behind when you're embracing that Sun. And the Sun is our ego. The Sun is us heliocentrically. We are the center of our own universe. That is true for every single one of you. It is true for me. We are the center. We are the ones that we see every day. We are the ones that we work on every single day, or don't. And some of you are really moving off of this lack of power narrative. I like that a lot. And, whenever we stay in some kind of story for a long time, like other people's needs are more important than mine, or I'm only worthy if I'm productive. When we stay in those narratives, it's because we get something from it. And that may be a little bit triggering to some people. It's like, no, I don't want to stay in a victim mentality. Why would you say that? It's because that's a socially acceptable, even validated way to be that started in our family. Our family told us that for you to gain safety, this is the survival level of intuition. For you to have safety, for you to have shelter, clothes, food on the table, education, any of the basics of life, you must sort of succumb to our rule structure, what we expect of you. And a lot of times it can be unspoken. So that's the most insidious, in my view, not dangerous, but the most insidious, because you can't really point to anything as like, well, it didn't seem that unhealthy. But when you have to let go of a family narrative, when you have to let go of a story that, you believed was keeping you safe, there's loss. I don't even care if you end up being the hermit or end up being, the shaman or whatever. It's still a loss to let go of a story that we, even if it's unhealthy, that we had growing up. And if you resist your own power, your own standing in your own power, look, if you say to yourself, like, I am amazing, and that makes you go like, ugh. Or my family was a lot about, you're only worthy if you're productive to the collective. Very Aquarian energy, but in a very unhealthy way, right? It's like, no, I'm still valuable whether or not the productivity is going to feed the collective. I'm still valuable. I still have value whether I am doing something, a human doing instead of a human being. I am still valuable. And so I've seen that over the course of my life many, many times, including being very good and productive with my tarot readings. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, I see you, story. I see you. And so the idea that we can still be valuable without having that kind of, without aligning with that story that is the fertilizer, quite literally, that surrounded the root ball when we were growing up, right? That is the thing that sprouted. It sprouted. But I got to tell you, like, a strawberry plant can't become an avocado, and a pine tree cannot become a birch. And it's sort of like you are who you are. You cannot, even if that fertilizer kind of sucks, even if that fertilizer or that story isn't, feeding you in a healthy way, you're still that tree. You're still that birch. You're still that strawberry, whatever it is. And so your job in your life is to recognize, oh, wait a second, I need a different kind of fertilizer. I need a different kind of soil. I need a different kind of sun and shade. You are not your family. You are not that upbringing. You take from that experience. And then as you grow, you work on the narratives, you change your story, or you embrace the story that is really you. You resist. You release. Thank you. You release the story that is not you. Okay. And so I like this. I'm going to read you more about resistance when we get to the extended, but I will say to you that sometimes, it doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel good. Okay. But sometimes we resist becoming the sun, because one of the narratives I definitely got was, when you become seen, which is why it's so important for me to show my face. When you become seen, you become more of a target. You become more, things will collapse on you. When things get good, that's when the other shoe's going to drop. Like very pre-World War II narratives about scarcity, when actually the way things were working was flawed. The way things were working before the crash of 29 and before, a lot of things, those were the mechanisms were wrong. The people weren't wrong. The mechanisms were wrong. And so for the last, few years, we've been talking about Pluto making a transit through Capricorn. That's what's happening right now. Like, let's recognize that what mechanisms need to change. The people aren't bad. The desires, hopes, dreams of people aren't bad. What's bad is the structures they get caught in, or the belief systems that tell them unhealthy things that are about squashing or manipulating people or anything like that. So just put a pin in that for a second here. 6 of Pentacles, right? Y'all on my channel are healers and teachers and guides and mystics and shamans. I've been telling you this for years. And only by recognizing what I'm talking about can you see your own willingness to embrace a story, because it feels familiar. And when things feel familiar, we have to ask ourselves, well, is that healthy or is that non-healthy? Because sometimes we can have a familiarity with a story that's really unhealthy to us. And so this is about turning around then and shining the light for other people on whatever your personal experience has been, right? Like, I am a teacher and I read constantly. I go deep into, methodologies and using different tools like tarot, astrology, numerology, all different kinds of tools. But I also work on my own tools, working on my own process, my own health, clearing out. Today in Pathfinders, we talked about Kundalini energy and about how that sort of clears this space, resets you in terms of your own unique signature. That's what Kundalini energy is. And I feel like there's a lot of information out there, and you can go at it in a very unhealthy way that can be hurtful. There's no question about it. But we're talking about your power. Your power. It is your energy signature. And so if you want to access that and work with it, you're working with your own power. You seeing the actual power of yourself. And I get this fear narrative around Kundalini a lot. And there's a lot of be careful. And okay, be careful. That's right. But don't run away from it, because it is your power. And each one of us has a unique signature that is emanated by that Kundalini energy. All right. So that's what we talked about today in Pathfinders. But 6 of Pentacles, the Chariot, and the 6 of Cups. You're helping people to move forward, not backward. But ironically enough, when you help people move forward, it's like those become the good old days, right? Because you're helping them align with their true nature, their true signature energy. And this 6 of Cups, it can be about bringing other souls together who align with that signature energy and removing these patterns of the past. Don't reject the stories, but learn from them. Have them be a catalog. It's almost like the Akashic records around you all the time. You have a catalog of stories. I use my own catalog of stories when I'm doing readings. I use my own experience. I use a lot of what I've been through. And, it's one thing to wear your wounds like a badge of honor, but another one to really employ their wisdom. And I think that's what we're being asked to do right now, is employ the wisdom of our own narratives, our own stories. Nine of Pentacles, I like that. Empress, definitely divine feminine energy. Look at that. So I'm not just talking to women, I'm talking to all of us. Kundalini is known as feminine energy, but since we all have both inside of us, this is really about balancing, but it's also about using the levers of power that you have inside you and not being afraid of them. Okay. And that brings self-confidence, because when you are stepping into your power, the reason you're doing that is because you're able to see your own ability to overcome this victim mentality, or the ability to align with mission and purpose and not be afraid. The thing that I learned back in 2016 and 2017, when my business crashed, everything was kind of going south. I just learned, and this happened at the end when I was getting divorced too. If I could accept the reality of what was happening, I had power over it. If I was running away or escaping from it, I had no power. But if I was like looking it right in the face, that's why I talk so much about the monster, about, we're not talking about the monster that's us. We're talking about the story that can morph itself and twist itself into something unhealthy because of our own fear or whatever that is. But when you look right at the monster, Jamie Lee Curtis looking right at that face, the face of the monster, it was like she was fighting for her own sovereignty, that fear was not going to overtake her. And others that ran away or whatever, those were the ones that, got chopped up by the monster, right? In Friday the 13th, or Halloween. And that's one of my favorite. It's my only favorite, because I didn't like the direction of horror movies after that. But Stephen King, all due respect, I love you. You live here in Maine. I will say his stuff is great. And I also felt like that Halloween story is the one that I resonate with the most, because it is about an empowerment of a divine feminine looking the monster of her fear right in the face. And was she terrified? Yeah. But she was still more interested in her own survival than about running away or being stupid or not really paying attention or anything like that. She was present in the moment, wasn't she? Present in the moment. So that's what the divine feminine's being asked to do right now, is to recognize the root stories of things, align with your power and mission and purpose. The Judgment card here, the Eight of Pentacles, and the King of Wands. So there is some kind of masculine energy here that's being balanced by us, all of us, male and female, because I'm not talking about sex or gender. I'm talking about energetic resonance or energetic expression, energetic power. We have these two balances. I mean, that's essentially what twin flame is. I mean, because we're all connected no matter what. Like, we're all connected, but what we're talking about here is the wounding, the stories that we tell ourselves, and the putting of people on pedestals. What's that saying? If you put people on pedestals, you're treated like a fan. Okay. And so that is a lot of wounding, and it comes from a place of feeling powerless. So I am seeing this really amazing work taking place. There's 3 9s here, a 10. What's the 9 that's missing? 9 of Cups. So one of the things to work on in my readings, when there's a obvious set of numbers or kings or something like that, the one that's missing is the loudest, and it hovers over the reading. So what's missing is, what do you really want? Because that's the energy to stand in, the energy of accomplishment of something. And I'm not talking about like the way we view success in our culture, the toxic capitalism or anything like that. What we're talking about is because I believe we're talking about feminine energy, is fulfillment. When people talk to me about North Node and what's my mission and purpose, which I'm going to do more and a lot more about in this summer, put a pin in that, stick around. When people ask me about their mission and purpose and we talk through the astrology of it, there's aha moments that come up because they're not resistant to it. They're not thinking, well, I can't do that. They're thinking that there's a tool out there that says, hey, this is what you have to do. But if it didn't resonate with you, you'd be like, that doesn't make sense to me. Or maybe you're not there yet. But either way, there's a real sense of, oh, yes, okay, I am going down this road where I am the center of my own story, and I am willing to invest time and effort and to look right at this monster. Okay. That summer of 2017, when I looked right at the monster of the businesses or the business I had not working, and I accepted it. Like I was saying, I at the end of my marriage, if there's never another person, do I still want to do this? Yes. I was accepting, and I wasn't doing it for somebody else. I was doing it for me. I wanted to reclaim myself. The business failed in 2017. I wanted to do something that was bringing me joy and that I knew was helping people. And that's what I'm doing here. That's my job, is to help you align with your own story. And I feel very passionate about that. And whether the story is unhealthy or healthy, embrace it, because that only through that, you can only pull a weed by grabbing it. Okay. And so if you want to use that stuff that sprays on it, that's going to give you illness. But the true, like, pulling it out of the ground is really the best, in my view, way to uproot something and uproot your own story. So you have to go really deep into the roots. Okay. You have to go really deep into the roots. I am going to continue with this. I hope this was helpful to you. I will continue. I will pull cards for each zodiac sign to give you a little bit more guidance and get any additional information from ancestors, and then we will keep going. So if you want to keep going, you can. There's a link below. I honor you. I honor your presence. Thank you for being here today. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video. If it was helpful to you, please consider liking this video and sharing it with anybody who might have a need for similar kind of information. And if you like this video, check out these videos.